What's up, guys? Here with you at FC Wonderkid, episode 138, the first of the year. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
It's a new, clean slate, Alex. I'm doing absolutely wonderful, and I want to say happy new Kylian Mbappe can sign wherever he dang well pleases here in 2024. But I want to start the year off with a really tough question for you. You were telling me at the end of 2023 that you were getting into Football Manager again. I got to ask you, if you could live with just one of these games for the rest of your life, which would it be? Would it be EAFC, the former FIFA, or would it be Football Manager?
Football Manager. I think Football Manager, easy. The details like technical directors, scouting people in football, having that knowledge, I feel like the database is unreal. I'd go with Football Manager. But let us know.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I want to know what people think, because here's the thing. You play Football Manager for like a long period of time, and you get annoyed sometimes with your players not doing what you want them to do, no matter how many instructions you give them, how much you fiddle with the tactics, and then you want to play them, right? You want to be able to play them. EAFC is the only one that can kind of do that, right? Where you can actually play them. So I'm with you, though. The depth of knowledge and the amount that Football Manager has contributed to my knowledge. And by the way, this is not a paid advertisement. It's just wonderful because I'm looking at it and going, hey, I have 30 minutes here. What if I play a little FM?
Oh, it's never 30 minutes. It ends up to 2 hours, 3 hours, if you have the time to spend. But yes, people, great Bretson by mentioning Football Manager and FIFA with this comparison, because first topic here in the first podcast of the year, it's our predictions for 2024 in football. I'll be hinting mine. Bretson will be hinting his own in the next podcast, episode 139. But yes, Bretson, are you ready to hear my predictions?
I am. I'm very ready. Let's go.
Well, the first one is an extremely safe prediction. I believe Girona will be finishing top 3 in La Liga. Currently, they're equaled with Real Madrid at the top. They're 10 points ahead of Atletico de Madrid and Barcelona, and they beat Atletico de Madrid in extraordinary fashion with a late winner, and they are deserved. Girona deserves the position that they're on. Girona deserve the position that they're in because of the elite managing with Michel, the unique style of play he has with the team, the great structure at the top, making the scouting phenomenal with players like Savio, Artem Dovbyk, Alex Garcia, that's captain. So, yes, that is my first prediction, Girona being a top 3 team in La Liga.
Well, I really love that prediction because I want to believe that they're not a flash in the pan. And you can't argue with 19 games, right? I mean, this is half the season already. They're, tied in points or drawn in points with Real Madrid, and they have scored the most goals in La Liga. And to be honest, they're just so dang entertaining to watch, and a lot of that comes back to Michel. And it's made Michel already an incredibly hot commodity heading into 2024. And just like Xabi Alonso, it's going to be tough to hold on to him long term. And I believe Per Guardiola has already come out and said, we already know the challenge that lies ahead of us to hold on to him. But you're right, like Savio, out of nowhere, I mean, could he be somebody that actually goes to the Copa America with Brazil? The Dovbyk and Saigankov with Ukraine. There's so many guys. Alex Garcia with Spain. I would love to see these guys really step it up. The only thing I'm going to do to pour cold water on that prediction right now is how bad their defending was against Atletico Madrid. It was pretty dang shocking.
True.
I mean, so is Atletico Madrid's. But when it comes down to it, if you're scoring 4 goals against Barcelona, and you're scoring 4 goals against Atletico Madrid, and you're scoring even 2 goals in a losing effort to Real Madrid, your only loss of the season so far, you're doing pretty well for yourself to compensate for that defensive, say, frailty from time to time. So I'm with you. I want to see that. I don't think that's as big as unbold of an statement that as you think. I think that's still pretty bold right now because Girona is bucking all expectations in La Liga, and these are the types of stories I live for when it comes to football.
And the success of Girona shows what the quality of players they have. Alex Garcia, Savio, Artem Dovbyk, Miguel Gutierrez are all players that could play at the top in many teams. Miguel Gutierrez is already being hinted at top teams in the Premier League. This is a player with 56 matches in La Liga and for Girona, and he was developed at Real Madrid, La Fábrica. And I think there's a buyback clause. Clause. It's not 100% confirmed, but I think it's between 5 to 10 million to Real Madrid. So if Real Madrid managed to get that done, it's once again elite business. So, second prediction, I wanted to mention in this podcast Cristiano Ronaldo. And Cristiano Ronaldo is the top goal scorer of 2023 with 54 goals scored. He keeps on breaking records, this man. And yes, we're going to the Euros as one of the favorites, and currently he is the starter, deservedly so. He has more goals than all the forwards of Man United put out together. It's bold numbers. And a prediction, just because I'm mentioning, the top goal scorers of 2024, I believe, Haaland, Mbappe, Kane, and Ronaldo will all be there. The top goal scorers 2024, Mbappe, Haaland, Kane, Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think Mo Salah will be the fifth player. Or Victor Osimhen. But Lautaro is not making this decision very easy, Bretson.
No.
But that would be my second prediction, the top goal scorers of 2024. And the third, I believe, this is a bold prediction. I'm going to go bold. I believe Bayer Leverkusen are going to win the Bundesliga. Xabi Alonso is going to break the curse of Bayern Munich, and he's going to break it, and he's going to Bayern Munich after that. I believe they're the favorites to land him after Ancelotti extended with Real Madrid. It was the best news possible that Bayern Munich could have gotten. So do you think this is a very bold one? Do you kind of agree with it, Breton?
I do think it's pretty bold just because Bayern has gotten out of deeper holes previously, and they're not even necessarily in a hole as it stands.
I agree.
But I do agree with you. I mean, do Leverkusen, the way that they have played this first half of the season, deserve to lift the title and break the 11-year stranglehold that Bayern Munich has had on the Bundesliga? Dang right, Alex. The way that they have played has made me enjoy football a whole lot. The same way when Bayern plays its best football, you can't help but put the mic down and give a little golf clap to them. And Bayer Leverkusen has just created stars this particular season, and it has made us just smile at FC Wonderkids. So, with Victor Boniface, with Florian Wirtz, I don't know how they're going to keep this type of team together. January, if they can get through it without losing one of those major pieces, that's going to be huge. If they can add one, two, that's even better. I think another defender would be phenomenal for them. I'm with you in that sense. It's one of those ones I want to see come true. I just, with Bayern's track record, I don't know how viable it is at this moment, but my goodness, are they playing great football.
Well, but currently the best manager in the Bundesliga is hands down Xabi Alonso. I would pick him ahead of Thomas Tuchel right now. And if Xabi Alonso goes to Bayern Munich, I fully believe Florian Wirtz goes afterwards. And those two pieces would guarantee, in my view, keeping a Jamal Musiala, keeping obviously a Harry Kane 2-3 years, Bayern Munich, a Champions League contender consistently. With Xabi Alonso, Florian Wirtz, Harry Kane, all bold players. And even Eric Dyer. Did you see that? To go to Bayern Munich. I was shook.
I did.
I was expecting more Sporting, not Bayern, but it is what it is, right?
Even more shocking in that sense was Big Ange in that press conference that is going viral right now. Big Ange just being so dang right in what he says. But when asked if Eric Dyer could still leave, even with the injuries that are mounting up with Spurs, he goes, yeah, sure. Yeah, he can go.
It can happen.
I love it. I mean, he's confident in the squad he's got, and it seems like they know they're probably going to be getting Radu Dragusin over the line in the near future. That's something we'll talk about in a little while.
Yes.
But I love his assuredness, and I love his positivity, and I love him correcting that one journalist, basically telling him like, the journalist asked, do you envision yourself, ever lifting a trophy? He goes like, I have lifted a trophy. I mean, it might not be the one that you want me to lift, but I have lifted plenty of trophies here. And on top of that, the guy's like, wouldn't you feel lucky to do that? And he's like, it's not luck. You're not in this. You're not in football for luck. You're not in football for good vibes. So he is rapidly becoming one of my favorite characters, at least in the managerial space. With that said, Eric Dyer to Bayern was out of left field for me. That's for sure.
I definitely wasn't. I wasn't expecting that one. I was like shook when I saw this. This is another prediction I have too. Is I fully expect. I'm gonna go bold. I believe a Portuguese team will be going to the Europa League final. Benfica, Sporting Club Braga. We've seen a final in Dublin in the past in the Europa League between Porto and Braga. 100% Portuguese. But yes, I am very confident in the quality that we have in the teams like Benfica, Braga, and Sporting. Best player in the Portuguese league right now, hands down, is Victor Gyökeres. 29 goal involvements, 18 goals, 11 assists. The strength, the finishing, the way he combines with his teammates, a very intelligent forward. That 100 million release clause, I expect a top team to go and snatch him in next summer. He's too good not to get, and teams need strikers.
And then it makes you sad to think that him and Sweden will not be at the Euros this summer. But it's always that quick. It's always that quick reminder. Excuse the cough, but it's always that quick reminder that you can find gems pretty much anywhere, even at Coventry City in the English Championship. And I had my doubts for sure, but obviously those were put to rest. The moment we sat in that seat and watched in the first 20 minutes, Victor Gyökeres, he had a brace in that match when I was in Lisbon.
You watched the first game of Victor Gyökeres in the Portuguese league,
Yeah, and I remember the last time I was in Lisbon, I believe it was right at the start of Antonio Silva's rise for Benfica. So I've been. I think you got to get me back there. We got to go, and maybe it'll be the rise of Rodrigo Mora when we take a trip up to Porto or something.
But you watched Enzo Fernandez and Antonio Silva play against Vitória Guimarães last season. It's true. And Enzo was such an engine at that time. And mentioning players like young players, this is the last one in which I'll give an opinion to. This is my last prediction in this video. That is, I expect Hendrik or Vitor Roque to be the star striker by the end of 2024 of Brazil. It must happen. It's not Richarlison, it's not Matheus Cunha, and it's not Gabigol. It's not Pedro too. It's Hendrik, Vitor Roque, or even a Marcos Leonardo that went to Benfica. They need to trust the youth desperately, in my point of view. And this is an opinion now. Fernando Diniz got sacked, deservedly so. 6 matches for Brazil. 3 losses. That is unacceptable. The way they were playing was shambolic, and the best possible replacement for Fernando Diniz for this Brazil national team. No, the best possible appointment for the Brazil manager is José Mourinho. No one would be above José Mourinho in that locker room. He would defend the players with everything he had, and they would respect his authority, in my point of view. People can say it would be a defensive style Brazil. Doesn't Brazil need a guy that would put the respect in that locker room on top of Neymar, on top of anyone? Look at Vinicius with Ancelotti. That is football heritage. And José Mourinho is football heritage. And for me, that would be the best possible appointment for the Brazil national team. Abel Ferreira is impossible because he's not going to leave Palmeiras. 2 Libertadores, 2 brasileiros, 2 campeonatos brasileiros, and I think Mourinho, best Portuguese manager ever, to go.
But not even to take Brazil, Abel Ferreira, not even to take Brazil into an expanded Copa America, into out of the hole that they're currently in, which is 6th place in CONMEBOL qualifying. I just feel like Abel Ferreira is not seeing the forest through the trees, if that's the saying. I don't know if that's actually correct. But Jose Mourinho, I mean, my only worry there is if you're going youth heavy, right? How is he going to deal with, say, the mild inconsistencies that Endrick or Victor Roca would bring? Because guess what? You just basically said one of my predictions for next week. And that is that I feel like, exactly, just to piggyback on what you said, I feel like if Victor Roca and Endrick don't develop properly over the next 6-7 months, don't already take that ownership of the Brazilian national team or give be given that opportunity to take the reins of it. And I feel like Brazil will continue to underperform in 2024. And yes, that also means in the Copa America. And I'm going to say it right now. I feel like it's trending more in the direction that Brazil will stagnate throughout 2024 until that inevitable kind of glow up happens on the world international stage or on the international stage for guys like Endrick, Vitor Roca, Marcus Leonardo, and the others that are starting to break out. So I'm with you. I mean, Brazil has a lot of question marks around them right now. And it doesn't look good when Ancelotti, I know it's Real Madrid, and I know he's re-upping, but that was like rumored to be already over the finish line, was it not?
Yeah,
and it just kind of went away. And he then re-ups, and then Denise is sacked, and now you're back to square one, and you're like 5 months away from a massive international tournament and continuing a World Cup qualifying campaign that has been absolute crap. There's no better way to put it. Absolute crap. They'll still qualify, no issues, but absolute crap from a team like Brazil, who should be much better.
I totally agree. And I love that Ancelotti got the extension. And he got the extension because Real Madrid are top of La Liga. Real Madrid won every game in the Champions League. And Real Madrid have the best player in the world with Jude Bellingham because of Ancelotti. At least in terms of form. A midfielder with 17 goals scored this season. It's been elite. But tell us down below, do you agree with the predictions that we announced? And let us know the predictions that you want to see next week with Breton going bold. Now it's going to be your time to go bold in episode 139. But we're saying it's time to go bold, and it's time to talk about AFCON. AFCON, the Africa Cup of Nations, is starting, and it's right now, I don't know who's going to win 100% because anything is possible with the amounts of quality players and teams and managers that we have in this tournament. Tell us down below in the comment section what you believe is going to happen in AFCON, and let us know what you agree or disagree, and like this video for more content just like this. Breton, AFCON, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm looking at these groups here, Alex, and we're not going to go through all the, the constituents, all the teams that are part of this, but I mean, this is so wide open. Ivory Coast are the hosts, right? And I love Ivory Coast head to toe when it comes to it. I love everything about them. Here's the issue, and I'll get into their roster makeup in a little bit, but here's the issue. If you're going based on historical winners, the last 7 AFCONs have had 7 different winners, okay? And on top of that, none of them have been hosts. You may recall 2 years ago or 3 years ago when it was Cameroon that had that strike force of Abu Bakar, and I'm going to forget the other names, and I'm sure you can come. Yeah, there you go, Choupo-Moting. We thought for sure that they were going to plow their way through as hosts, and they end up bowing out on penalties to, I think, Egypt, eventual finalists, Egypt. So here we go. In Group A, you've got Ivory Coast.
Just wanted to mention on that game, the lasers. That was mad.
Oh, yeah.
On the pens.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Oh, my. But mentioning Abu Bakar first with Cameroon in this AFCON are a dark horse. We don't put them in the favorites category, I think, but I put Abu Bakar and Gisa, very interesting players to watch. Abu Bakar has 96 games, 37 goals for the Cameroon. A living legend, and in AFCON, he always goes bold. So pay attention to him.
And I doubt he'll play, but another one to watch for Cameroon is the youngest player technically in the tournament. And as always with that, you get the inevitable, Alex, the inevitable Youssoufa Mokoko treatment, where a picture comes out of Nathan Douala, who will be representing Cameroon at AFCON. And you immediately get the people out there that say, there's no way this kid is 17. And listen, it's not for us to care about that. If he's 17 and they have the ability to say that he's 17. And, he plays for Victoria United as a midfielder. Why are we going to argue whether or not he's 17?
I get you.
But
I
anyway,
get you.
youngest player in the tournament, one to watch, is Nathan Douala for Cameroon. But I agree. I don't think Cameroon, I don't think they've got the roster to make it far in this one. I don't see where else.
But Cameroon's group is Gambia, Cameroon, Guinea, and Senegal. I believe Senegal will be finishing top in this group. I don't think they're the favorite, Senegal, but they're in the top 3 100% to win the AFCON. Sadio Mane, Eduardo Mendy, and Nico Jackson. Do you believe Nico Jackson will be one of the top goal scorers of this AFCON, Bretson?
I think he will. I think he will. I mean, I don't think he has played a massive part for Senegal yet, and I honestly think he'll get plenty of chances against worse defenses than currently exist in the Premier League. And as many big chances as he's missed in the Premier League, he has still put quite a few in the back of the net this season for Chelsea. So I do believe, I expect him to be in contention with Victor Osimhen, for Golden Boot in AFCON. But I do agree with you. I mean, Senegal, they are the defending champions. And there hasn't been a repeat, if I'm not mistaken, since Egypt three-peated. Is that right? Is it Egypt?
I think so. Egypt is the top winner with 7. No, not
yeah, with 7. And I think they did 3 in a row at one point, if I'm not mistaken. But it is still insane to me, Alex. Egypt being the winningest with 7 AFCON titles. And guess who does not have one to his current name?
Mo Salah.
You got it.
Last in 2010.
Mo Salah.
Last AFCON win for Egypt. But it's big responsibility. Like, Mo Salah was twice awarded the best African player in the world. Mo Salah is the reason a lot of people are going to pay attention to this Egyptian national team. So, do I believe Egypt is a dark horse in this AFCON? I 100% believe they are. Because they've got Mo Salah that's leaving a Liverpool title race to replace and make history in a competition that he is a legend of his nation. Mo Salah has 93 games, 53 goals, 30 assists. That's his record for Egypt, and I fully expect them to do everything they can to win an AFCON since they last won it in 2010. So it could happen.
Here's the hard thing for people to process, right? Sometimes teams, right? Not individuals, but sometimes teams win international tournaments. And Egypt is exactly that. The reason why nobody sits here and talks about anyone but Mo Salah, maybe Omar Marmoush deserves a shout for his form. And Trezeguet, we all know, and El Neni, for his spirit, but he doesn't play much for Arsenal. He's still in Arsenal, right?
Yeah,
he's still in Arsenal.
He's still in Arsenal.
Yeah, he's never leaving. But when it comes down to it and you look at the roster, right? You look at a lot of players that are still at Al Ahly, they're at Zamalek, they're at Pyramids, they're at all the domestic league. So there is not an understanding of exactly who will the stars be, who will this be. But guess what? The Egyptians are always an insanely cohesive team. And that's why, in my opinion, I wouldn't even call him a dark horse with Mo Salah leading the line, and with that team behind them, I put them up there in the top 3 of favorites.
I put Morocco, Senegal, Algeria, and maybe Nigeria ahead of Egypt, though. And I respect Mo Salah, but these 4 teams for me are the favorites, Bretton. But it's a bold debate.
Fair enough.
But since you're hyping Egypt, I just wanted to ask you this. In Group B, there's Egypt, and there's Egypt and there's Ghana. Do you believe Egypt will top this group?
Yes, I do. I believe Egypt will top this group, and I think it will be Ghana behind them. I mean, it depends on how crazy gung-ho, a Mohamed Kudus is.
Yes, it depends on Kudus. I agree.
It does. And it depends, I guess, on the shroud of mystery around a Thomas Partey, right? I mean, I'm not entirely sure what we're supposed to expect. I guess he's not playing this. I don't think he is. But Ghana's got the Ayew brothers. They've got Mohamed Salisu, who's back and healthy for AS Monaco. They've got Abdul Samed, but I don't think they're going to have Thomas Partey. And without Thomas Partey, I don't know how Ghana goes insanely far in this. It just depends on how dominant Kudus is, Anaki Williams is, and I'd love to see a phenomenal tournament from Ernest Nuama, the Right to Dream product, the FC Nordsjælland product, who is still trying to get going for Lyon in Lyon. But you're right. I think they're great up there, but just like Ghana, I put Nigeria in the same vein as Ghana.
What?
There is no doubt that Nigeria, just like Cameroon in the last AFCON, has by far the most potent attacking power, attacking force in AFCON. Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Ademola Lookman, Chukwueze, Alex Iwobi. I mean, even like, I know Iwobi's more like defensive now, but still, it's amazing. The issue is, Alex, is their defense and their midfield with the Ndidi injury is suspect. It's not good. It's really not good. So like Cameroon, unless they steamroll their way and offense is the best defense, I don't see Nigeria winning this thing. And that's my boldest statement, is that Nigeria is going to underwhelm.
And Nigeria have the African Player of the Year with Victor Osimhen, and the player that's in form massively, Victor Boniface, with 10 goals in the Bundesliga in 16 games. So that is a bold statement in my point of view, Breton. Nigeria understating in this AFCON. I don't know if I agree with what you said right there, but let's wait and see. But you're talking favorites. I think my favorite for AFCON is the obvious choice in my eyes. It's Morocco. Morocco was the most dynamic team we saw in the World Cup, African team we saw in the World Cup. Morocco was the first team to reach a semifinal of the World Cup. Morocco was the first African team to reach the semifinal of the World Cup. Morocco have a manager that understands the team, and they have a great dynamic with Amrabat, Hakimi, having the leadership roles and knowing how to conduct them. This is a great team in my eyes, and in terms of talent too, the way they play, the way they always go to win, the way when you see Morocco, you see a team that faces head-on any team in the world. They lost to France, but they did impress a lot of people. They beat Portugal. They beat Spain. They did magic in that World Cup. So this team deserves to win an AFCON. They deserve to win an international trophy. It's one of the greatest generations of Morocco. So I have to say that Morocco is, one of the favorites 100% in my eyes.
I would agree. I would agree with you, and how better to solidify your progress than following up a World Cup semifinal final appearance with winning your first AFCON title in almost 50 years. Morocco, that just shows you how special what they did in the World Cup was. I mean, if it wasn't already special, like insanely special, they have not won an AFCON in almost 50 years. And you're looking at a young core, too, bolstered by a lot of really, really good, wily veterans. But you're looking at a young core, and not possibly, he is the best young player, U21 player in this whole tournament, is Bilal El Khanous. And I want to see Bilal El Khanous unleash. I want him in this. You're right. So I should say, best U21 midfielder here. But no, I would still say all around, he is the one I'm most excited to see.
There's another one.
One I am most excited to see.
Pape Matisar, Breton. And Kudus.
True. Still, El Khanous. He's been the maestro. He's been the maestro for Genk. He has been given the keys to the kingdom at Genk. I think he is primed for a big move in 2024. And I think Bilal El Khanous being given the keys to the midfield at least the creativity and the offensive nature of the midfield for Morocco, his progress in this tournament is key to whether or not they win it.
I like it.
Bilal El Khanous.
Must young players you got to watch in AFCON is Diamant, it's Bilal El Khanous, like you're mentioning, Pape Matisar, Victor Boniface, even an Alex Moriba. Could surprise a lot of people. Have a nice AFCON. Never know. But this AFCON has a lot of talents to watch. It's true.
But one more. I mean, from another team that we're not really going to talk about, Burkina Faso's Dango Ouattara. He is impressed for Bournemouth. absolutely impressed for Bournemouth at what? At fullback, right? He's been playing fullback for Andoni Areola. They've won 7 of their last 8, or they've not lost 7 of their last 8. I think there's a tie in there, a draw in there somewhere. And their most recent loss was to a big team. But Dango Ouattara is one that you definitely have to watch. I think you mentioned Adingra for the Ivory Coast, but
yes.
you mentioned Diomande, you mentioned Adingra, and that's why my favorite here, even though the last 7 tournaments, the host has not won, right? The last 7 tournaments has seen different winners. My favorite is still is the Ivory Coast, because let's walk through just really, really quickly. We got to walk through their defense. They've got Aurier, they've got Diomande, they've got Wilfred Singo, who is highly coveted, and in 2024, a lot of teams are going to be after him. Evan Ndika, Odelan Kosunu. Okay, in midfield, you've got Seko Fofana, Ibrahim Sangare, Franck Kessié, Jonathan Bamba, who can play attack and obviously in midfield. And then up in attack, you've got Haller, who should cook at the AFCONs, even if he hasn't been cooking for Dortmund as of late. Adingra, Jeremy Boga, and, you can throw in Nicolas Pepe if you'd like. Their biggest question mark is their goalkeeper, right? But I love the depth and I love the pedigree of every one of those players in each of those sections of the field. So whether or not they can put that to good use in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, that's going to be the biggest question. And I think they're going to break the curse. And I'm going to say Ivory Coast breaks the host curse and they win AFCON 2023, held in 2024.
And do they win Group A with Nigeria?
Yes.
You're going so bold, Breton. I do think Ivory Coast or Nigeria will be topping Group A, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's an easy one. But the Ndidi injury, I mean, it's bigger than I think people are giving, or it just happened. So but you can't necessarily, people are still processing it. Behind them, I know they've got, who's going to step in for him? Youssef, who plays in the Belgian Pro League. But come on, that's humongous. An already scant midfield and an already scant defense. And they're so top-heavy in Nigeria, I just don't see it. I see that running out of steam at some point.
And when you
I see that running out of steam.
And we mentioned in this video, AFCON Group A, we believe Ivory Coast and Nigeria will be going through. In Group B, we believe Egypt and Ghana will be going through against Cape Verde and Mozambique. Two Portuguese-speaking countries. Borola. I'd love to see one of those teams going through. Then we have Group C with Cameroon, Gambia, Guinea, Senegal. I believe Senegal and Cameroon will be going through in Group C. And Group D, Algeria, Angola, Burkina Faso, Mauritania. Algeria we believe is going through. And maybe a Burkina Faso in Group D.
Yeah, I think so.
And then finalizing Group E, Mali, Namibia, South Africa, Tunisia. I think it's Mali and Tunisia. I think this Tunisia team is very underrated. Annabelle Medri, shout out to him. And the last group, Group F, with Congo, Morocco, Tanzania, and Zambia. Morocco will be topping this group. But pay attention to Simon Banza for Congo. He's the top goal scorer of the Portuguese league with 14 goals scored and 3 assists. It will be very hard for Braga to be keeping a player like him. And Zambia with Pat Standaka. Pat Standaka has been doing a great job at Leicester. He's back.
And I do want to throw out Lamek Banda as well, who's been great in Serie A this season, breaking through. So I think Zambia has some ones to watch. And that's the thing is, like, we talk about for Algeria, you've got Fares Shaibi, you've got Mohamed Amora, who's having a ridiculous season for Union Saint-Gilloise. You've got Karim Konate, who I haven't really talked about for the Ivory Coast. For Morocco, Amir Richardson and Ismail Saibari. There's so many names that I am so excited to watch in this, Alex, that I'm getting psyched. First big tournament of 2024. For Gambia, Yankuba Minte should be huge. Zito Luvumbo for Angola.
Zito,
so I'm ready for this to get going. I think one that from Liga Portugal is Geni Katamo.
Jenny Katamo, yes. For me, he should be the right wing back starting for Sporting. Yeah, very interesting player, you said, right? Sporting have Diamant and Jenny Katamo, both players that I believe are starters. They're going to AFCON. Yeah. Man City knows. Man City knows how to organize players.
You know who else knows?
Who?
Yeah, you know who
Newcastle.
else knows? Nottingham Forest. They've got, I believe they have 6 first-team players or close to first-team players that are in this tournament and have been released for this tournament. So Forest's festive fixtures quickly became unfestive once they realized how many players they were losing.
But let us know down below, who are your predictions to win AFCON? Do you agree with what he said? Well, what we said, and what have we forgotten? Let us know down below, and don't forget to like this video in this podcast, people. But now it's festive season, but it's very festive for transfer window fans, and we all know we got notifications on Fabrizio Romano, the must if you love transfers, and we gotta mention all these moves that are happening. And I think it's appropriate to start with the top teams in the Premier League, with Man City that started with a bang. Echeverri was locked in at the start of this January transfer window, and 14 million for a player like Echeverri with the talent, a world-class potential talent, undoubtedly is a bargain. A bargain. And in add-ons, 9 million. That all performance-based. A structured deal, and a deal that is gonna be a bargain in the future, in my view. It's my prediction here that Echeverri is gonna be a successful player with Man City, because we saw Julian Alvarez, a similar player in a different position, succeed big time because they got him early. They know how to do business. Man City.
They did, and I agree that Claudio Echeverri will be a success at Manchester City. What I think has been a little bit of recency bias creeping in, though, is that Manchester City has not had, at least in the last 5 or 6 seasons, a great South American pipeline, or at least great accuracy in terms of those that they do bring in. Because I'm looking at a list here of Claudio Echeverri and Julian Alvarez. Obviously, the Julian Alvarez star. Absolute star, right? Then you've got Maximo Perrone, who he said he was going to keep with the first team, but has since loaned out to Las Palmas, and he's doing really well there. He's doing okay. He's doing great, actually. And then you've got Yanni Couto, right? Yan Couto, who has been a big part of Girona's push. So you can't argue with that, but the likelihood that he ever plays for Manchester City is very slim. And after this, man, so many players that I don't even really need to bring up. Clevert, Aguilar, Diego Rosa, Nahel Bustas, Angel Herrera, who was great for NYCFC, will be sold on for big bucks, or was sold on for big bucks, I'm sorry. Keiki and Dario Sarmiento, all question marks or all moved on in some capacity. So I know you're not supposed to hit, but obviously Julian Alvarez, if people are expecting Claudio Echeverri to be, as good as Julian Alvarez right away, let's not fool ourselves, right?
Give this
kid time.
Look at the age.
Yeah,
One's 23, the
smaller.
other one's 16, 17. Like, it still needs
It's
time. But I think it's the right decision to do a 6 to 12 months loan deal back to River, because he's not going to be starting at Man City straight off the bat. But once again, we saw an elite business. And staying on this range of the same transfer deal, in my view, Valentino Barco has been confirmed to go to Brighton. £10 million. The release clause on this player. A player that was crucial for Boca Juniors to go to a Copa Libertadores final. The equivalent of a South American Champions League. That is embarrassing. And seeing River lose Echeverri, and they're going to lose Agustin Roberto in no time, I feel. And losing, Boca Juniors losing Valentino Barco just states that Brasileirão teams, the Brazil teams, are going to be dominating Copa Libertadores in the next 5 years. It's just, and then you see even the best player of River Plate going to Flamengo. It makes no sense. But
listen, it's such a testament to Brighton. Such a testament to Brighton. I mean, this is Valentin Barco is considered the best modern footballing fullback, right, on the market right now in terms of U21, right, U20, right, in terms of prospects. He most certainly is, in my opinion. And he is going to be humongous for Brighton, just as we're seeing them ease Facundo Buonanotte into kind of a more advanced role, which is where he's going to thrive, and you're starting to see that star come out in him.
True.
Hopefully they do the same with bringing in Valentin Barco, but not expecting fireworks. But Brighton, man, bringing this in and winning that race, why? because they have a policy that says we're going to play him. We're going to play him through mistakes, just like we played, Billy Gilmore through mistakes, just like we've played many others previous to this
Bart
through mistakes.
Verbruggen.
Okay?
He's playing.
And Bart Verbruggen, exactly.
Even though mistakes.
It goes back to my love for this Brighton transfer policy, and for them to win Valentin Barco, they deserve so much credit for being able to convince this kid of their project and still be competitive in the flipping Premier League. It's amazing.
It's so true, Breton. And Brighton are a team that will always be fighting for those Europa League and Conference League spots because, yes, they do amazing deals at the right price. And they sell with quality, too. Caicedo was the big deal of the summer. And we know Mitoma, Evan Ferguson, a lot of players are coming in the pipeline to sell, too. But mentioning Premier League players, the stars, the kings of the Premier League in the January transfer window, it's no doubt Liverpool. They signed Luis Suarez from Ajax. They signed Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. 2 home runs and even a Luis Diaz from Porto for the amount that was paid. For me, it was a bargain. It was a great deal too. I believe if Liverpool are going to sign a player, it must be a center back and a left-footed center back because that left side needs more options, especially passing the ball, conducting the ball. They need a better option going forward. And Gonçalo Inácio, in my opinion, would be the best center back available in this January transfer window that Liverpool could sign. He would be 50 to 60 million. His release clause is 65 million pounds. So I believe that would be the best deal possible because if Liverpool are going to win the Premier League, it's with signing a center back in the January transfer window, in my view. Man City are still favorites for me, but Liverpool have to sign a center back because Joel Matip is injured for the rest of the season. Konate is injury prone, and Virgil van Dijk, he's phenomenal. He's inspired this season, but he needs someone next to him with quality in order to win the Premier League. Man City's got the best defense in the world, right, Breton?
What was that? Who does? City?
Man City, yeah.
yeah. No, absolutely, and that's inarguable, if that's even a word. I'm actually, from the Liverpool perspective, completely agree. January center back needed, right? I'm worried about how long Szoboszlai is going to be out, and we're going to see a little Ryan Gravenberch season up there. I know they're not kind of like for like, but it's his time. It's his time to shine. Elliott and Curtis Jones are going to have to continue to play. I mean, they've been pretty dang good for Liverpool, but I'm worried they might. I know. I mean, there's a ceiling there. There's a ceiling there for Jones, as there is, I think, for Elliott. Although that goal that he scored, that feels like 6 months ago, but I'm pretty certain that was like during the beginning of the festive fixtures. I can't remember, but that goal he scored was beautiful. So yeah, a lot of questions at Liverpool, but center back, absolute must. I just don't know if you can't land Gonçalo Inácio, who do you go that's cut rate? Or do you go for somebody that can play in the midfield as well as at center back? Go back for Kefren Turam or somebody of that nature. But
no,
a lot of question marks.
But Kefren Turam, I think, would be a quality signing too because Hendo has been a great player. Wataru Hendo. I think he was appointed the best player of Liverpool in December by the fans. I think it's deservingly. He's been a positive impact, but I think they need another player for depth right there. And you're mentioning that position. We know Man City are not going to play Calvin Phillips in top games, and we know Calvin Phillips will be leaving Man City. Who do you think should be signing Calvin Phillips, Breton? I think he'll stay in the Premier League. A lot of people hint Newcastle.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess where Newcastle is right now, bodies are needed. I just don't know why. I mean, his salary has got to be high. We haven't seen high rate Calvin
English
Phillips in a really long
player.
time. Because he is. You're right, and that's literally his only body of work right now. It's his only body of work.
Too. Like if you're a Man City, you're guaranteed quality too. I think.
Well, that's. I'm sure I can poke holes in that at some point.
Who?
I know off the top of my head.
Gundogan.
Off the top of my head,
they're all leaving and playing. But I get you.
I'm gonna be able to come up with somebody. But listen, Calvin Phillips. There's a little bit of an injury worry there. Newcastle though definitely need bodies. At that especially in that midfield in terms of depth. But I could see like a Fulham. Right,
Ooh.
Fulham.
When Palhinha leaves,
yeah, Fulham.
That would be interesting. Calvin Phillips replacing João Palhinha. Andrés Pereira, Calvin Phillips, and Tom Carney.
Yeah. I mean, and if Leeds had real ambition, maybe they see if he can spearhead a jump back up. But as of right now, I mean, the big news coming out of Leeds is the Jed Spence getting kicked out of Dodge once again and getting in trouble for certain things.
They'd have to sell Somerville to get Calvin Phillips, and I don't think any Leeds fan wants that to happen. But you say fun to watch. I think the player that every Premier League team must want that is in the Premier League is Michael Olise. And Michael Olise, for me, should go to Euro 2024 for France. The way he's playing, no doubt, if he was at United, if he was at Arsenal, if he was at Man City, I think at Man City he could start maybe, okay? In 2-3 years, he would be definitely a starter ahead of a Bernard Silva that would be aging and leaving. So Michael Olise is a player that can play in the middle, can play at the right wing, and the touch, the efficiency that he's showing, and the goals. This is something new that we're seeing this season. He's much more confident in front of goal, and I believe he should be signed by a top team in the Premier League. Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City are the favorites. Newcastle to get Olise. That would be the right deal for them. That would be the right deal. French.
Just once again, the injury. Just worried with the injury. Injuries of him or surrounding him that he has had. But there is no doubt that when he is healthy, he is such a special player and one to watch. And I remember when we were first watching him and talking about him with Reading.
Yep.
Golly, that feels like a decade ago. It wasn't, but it feels like so long ago.
And Queen's Park Rangers, sorry. Eze Queen's Park Rangers.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, plucked from there, and that was back when Reading had a nice little French contingent, and now once they've gotten rid of them, unfortunately a mismanaged club now down in League One. But I love the idea of Olise moving on at some point. I just wish Crystal Palace, I've always said this. I mean, it's a London club. It has ambitions. Bringing in a guy like Matheus França, you have to convince him of a project. And it was great to see him get his first time, but I would love for them to retain and actually, I don't know, show ambition to become one of the better London clubs. And I feel like they could, but it's going to take a really long time in retaining some of your best players or spending the money. I mean, like they should have unloaded Zaha a long time ago for as much money as they could have gotten and spent it well. But I guess they don't have confidence that they can spend it well. So Olise, if they let go of him, they better get money and they better get compensated well, because otherwise Crystal Palace is stuck in a vicious circle that continues to see them be just a mid to relegation fodder team year after year in the Premier League. But shout out to Chris Richards, who has stepped in and become a nice little midfield stalwart in the midfield instead of center back, which I still think is his best position, and one that we'll see him with the USA. But I just love seeing him finally get game time.
He's got a lot of talents, and it's good to see Crystal Palace playing in the Premier League consistency. That's what you need in the U.S. men's national team. Those are the type of players that you need. But you're mentioning selling, and I'm thinking, what does Bretson think about this transfer or this loan deal? Man United are reportedly going to loan Jadon Sancho is back at Dortmund. The loan deal is going to happen. What do you think about it, Bretson?
As long as it doesn't break the finances of Dortmund, I get it. I mean, the prodigal son returns, right, to Dortmund. But if you're expecting the previous Jadon Sancho, I'm not sure.
I am.
Like, how has this whole drama affected him? Has it created a chip on his shoulder where he just wants to get back to playing and humbling himself and wanting to just make the Signal Iduna his own again and just kill it in front of 70,000? Or is he going to be jaded? And that's what is he going to be jaded Sancho instead of Jadon Sancho? And that's what I'm worried about, Alex. But you're right. I mean, he wants to see a club that wants him. And whatever has happened at Manchester United or whatever hasn't happened, whatever has gone down with Ten Hag, it needs to be rectified because the kid is 23 still, and he is such a phenomenal footballer, and we just want to see him play. So if it's done, if it's over the line, all the best to him, and I wish him success.
The sentence you said right now, he wants to be where everybody wants him, right? Jadon Sancho wants to be always where he is. Jadon Sancho wants to be always where he's treated right. And he wasn't treated right once at Man City, and he went to Dortmund to get the right treatment. And at Dortmund, he got 137 games, 50 goals, 64 assists. He was a legend in the time period that he had at Dortmund, a top assister. The playmaking that he was showing was elite. And if Jadon Sancho goes bold at Dortmund, I don't believe they'll be finishing ahead of Bayer Leverkusen. Florian Wirtz-Frimpong, they've got massive talents too, Boniface. But I think Jadon Sancho will be in much better form and having a hand to go to the Euros for England. Jadon Sancho has the quality to play for England. I don't know if he will start. Definitely Saka on one end and Phil Foden on the other is better than Sancho in my view right now. And a Maddison at camp. Ooh, if that happens. Or a Jude Bellingham at camp with Harry Kane at forward. But he should be a reliable option for this highly talented team of England that are one of the favorites of the Euros. So Sancho should be back.
Yeah.
The show. We need to see the show.
It's just there is something to be said about the whole of Manchester, the red side, the blue side, that he just hasn't been able to win over. And it could be that maybe he's too soft. Maybe he can't take criticism well, or he can't take whatever. And this is purely conjecture. This is purely me making stuff up. But it's crazy to me that he has wasted he's made a lot of money, but he's wasted a good amount of his playing days in this fight for whatever.
Something happened with
you shouldn't be loved all the time everywhere you go. And if you can't take that, and you can't take that every once in a while, that kick in the butt that the fans give you, then I've got worries for him.
I understand.
So
and there's no permanent
I'm
option.
with you.
There's no permanent option to buy. Man United refused. Dortmund wanted it, but they didn't accept. I think his future will be redefined in June. They'll have talks. They'll see how the position is, and even I think Man United could sell him if he's in top form for 50, 60, or 70 million. It all depends on the form that he's at Dortmund coming back. But Man United's Man United's forward line should be Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford until the end of the season. Antony should be coming out of the bench. 1 goal scored in 2023 in the civil calendar year, and we still haven't seen nor an assist nor a goal until now in the Premier League. It's embarrassing, and a player like that shouldn't be starting. That cost £100 million. That is something that I point fingers at Man United. Ralph Rangnick should have stayed as a counselor at Man United, a sporting director, a man who knows football and would have respected an Anthony Elanga that is now balling at Forest. And when he was coaching Man United, Elanga played a lot, and he wouldn't have bought an Anthony for £100 million. I don't believe he would have done that.
No, that was such a panic buy. And we all knew it when it happened. I mean, okay,
exactly.
Maybe you can see me trying to rationalize it when it did happen, but for that price tag, we all jumped on that pretty quickly. Don't get me wrong, he was pretty special at times for Ajax.
True.
But not ever warranting the amount of money that they ended up spending on him, which just screamed panic buy. Since we've recently gotten confirmation that it, in fact, was a panic buy, especially for the amount of money. So I'm with you. I agree. Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford has to be it. And Garnacho, man, he was special during the festive fixtures. I'm really excited. I think he is going to weasel his way, not in a bad way, but weasel his way onto that Argentinian team that will be in the U.S. Taking on the best of the Americas in the Copa America. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Garnacho, Julian Alvarez. Garnacho's idol is very proud of him with Cristiano Ronaldo. So keep going bold, Garnacho. I love to see that. And mentioning top teams with the Premier League, I feel like it's wrong if we're mentioning transfers and Premier League and title contention, not to mention Arsenal. Arsenal are in desperate need for a striker. Why? Because when Gabriel Jesus is not there, Arsenal have difficulties to score goals. I know when Gabriel Jesus scores a goal, Arsenal has never lost a game. But Eddie Nketiah is not good enough. Bukayo Saka should not be the top goal scorer of an Arsenal team. He's a terrific winger, a phenomenal winger, one of the best right wingers in the world. But in order to compete with a Liverpool, with a Man City, with a future Newcastle, with a future maybe Chelsea with Todd Boehly, I don't know, but with a future competitive Premier League competition, you need a top striker. And Arsenal are desperate to get one. And I have a list here, Breton, of strikers. And who do you believe would be the best striker for Arsenal to sign in January, with the names of Solanke, Guirassy, Ivan Toney, or even a Santiago Jimenez? Arsenal have the money.
Yeah, they got the money, but would I spend $100 million on Ivan Toney if that's seriously what Brentford is asking for? Because they've been pretty straightforward about that. So I feel like Ivan Toney's out. Santiago Jimenez, I think, is great for Feyenoord. Will he translate to the Premier League?
Risk.
That could just be my my L tree. My desire to not see an L tree striker succeed in that shape. So the other two. Previous to that, believe it or not, Dominic Solanke, and who was the second one that you mentioned? And Guirassy. Okay, Guirassy in the Bundesliga, phenomenal physical talents, all that good stuff. He's, believe it or not, a little more of a risk than, say, a Dominic Solanke, who's having the year of his life. I know we thought he was all going to be that perennial championship goal scorer, 29 goals in the championship season that they wound up winning promotion. But the fact is, he's got 12 goals. He's actually in the Golden Boot race for the Premier League. Put some respect on Solanke's name. His finishing has improved. His ability to actually create something out of nothing has improved. I want to say Dominic Solanke, but I still think that I do. And Arsenal's back office will go for Serhou Guirassy, and I think he'll do well.
Imagine Solanke going to Arsenal after, in his career path, he's been at Chelsea and he's been at Liverpool. So Bournemouth with Iraola, like, they're saving careers. Kerkez, Zabarni. This is a great team. Alex Scott and Max Aarons.
Scott.
On the bench. I'm hyped. And I love this team.
And one of my favorite South American Wonderkids, Oscar Zambrano, could wind up either at Brighton or Bournemouth. But Bournemouth is what I'm hearing. Bournemouth has the pole position on that signing, although somebody said out there, and I think it might have been Fabrizio Romano, said Luton Town might actually be in the running for Oscar Zambrano, but I think Bournemouth will win out. But yeah, Dominic Solanke, come on, you gotta love the persistence of the kid. You gotta love the fact that him and Jordan Ibe, right? We remember those two names with Liverpool. True. They were sold off for much more money than I would have ever parted with.
Solanke, 21 million. To Bournemouth.
Or much less money, I should say. Yes, to Bournemouth, right. And we all thought flop. Well, boom. You know, he got him back to the Premier League, and now he's got 12 goals.
Exactly.
So good for him. And if it winds up being Arsenal, I know for dang sure, even if his actual talent falls short, Solanke, his heart and his determination will not fall short fighting for an Arsenal badge. So I would love it.
And you're saying, we're talking about a striker, and my last on this transfer, my second last, because I got to mention the Portuguese transfer. I know some people will be knowing who I'm referring to, but there's a big transfer happening in the Premier League, and I was shocked. And it's the team that it's the team at Tottenham. Tottenham are getting Timo Werner. I am shook with this team. Yeah. A loan deal with an option to buy. Tottenham right now are the only team that has scored in Tottenham have scored in every single competition, every single game. 22 games. Anje Postecoglou. So it's the right start, but they do need more goals, and they need an efficient striker. So Timo Werner, Richarlison, 6 months. Yep. Are Tottenham going to get top 6, Breton?
I think that they've bounced back in a pretty strong way for me to be convinced that yes, they can. It depends more. Timo Werner's great. But it depends more if they get this Radu Dragusin over the line, who I think was playing with Genoa and Serie A. He has previously been at Juventus. He's Romanian. You'll see him at the Euros. I think he's Romanian, right? He's not Moldovan. I think he's Romanian.
Yep, Romanian.
Yeah, a great young big center back would be a wonderful signing. They're getting Van de Ven back. I think those are the bigger deals right now for Big Ange and Spurs. So, yeah, I am going to say I think Spurs plays an attractive style enough. I think that they have a deep enough, or they've shown that they had a pretty rocky period there, just like Newcastle, and they're bouncing back from it. So, yeah, I will say Spurs go top 6, and I will say that they will go top 6 comfortably.
I agree. Ange ball, high intensity, a unique style of play that Ange has brought to the Premier League. Mobility, high pressing, something that we could see Timo Werner being a key player at the end of the season in the Premier League. We might see rejuvenation of Timo Werner in the Premier League. Oh my days. Who would have thought that he would come back to London, Timo Werner?
Not me. Not me.
He did, but he surely did. And at RB Leipzig, he's doing a pretty good job. Bounced back, and he returned to his home. So now he's returning to London. So my last transfer to mention here is a Portuguese transfer, as I hinted. It's Marcos Leonardo. Vitor Roque, Hendrik are terrific talents, but Benfica have landed Marcos Leonardo, one I'd say a top 5 under 21 talents in the Brasileirão last season, and it's a big statement by Benfica to land Marcos Leonardo. Benfica need more goals. Benfica need a finisher that is very confident with both feet, and Marcos Leonardo is just that. If he's got the commitment to succeed at Benfica, I fully expect Marcos Leonardo to do that, because the talent and the way he plays, he's got it. He's got the intangibles to play with Roger Schmidt, a German manager that has high standards. And with youngsters, he works really well. We've seen with João Neves, we've seen with Anatoly Trubin, and we've seen with Antonio Silva. Marcos Leonardo is next. 18 million with 10% of the future fee going to Santos. They believe in what Benfica do.
And that's what makes it for me, Alex, is the price tag. I know it ranks up there, I think, in the top 5 or top 6 sales all time for Santos. But obviously we know the big ones that came from Santos previous to this. And while Marcos Leonardo did his best, his 13 goals in the Brasileirão could not keep Santos from getting relegated for the first time in 111 years. Yeah, pretty tough. So give the kid a little bit of slack for how he might have conducted himself at the end of that season, because he did his dangdest, if that's even a word, to keep them up there. And, 54 goals, 11 assists in 126 starts as a 20-year-old for Santos FC, the club of Pele, the club of Neymar, the club of, to a lesser extent, Robinho. But, come on. I mean, this kid has pedigree, and it really is going to be, for me, whether or not Roger Schmidt can unlock it, right away, right? Or if he's going to need a kind of a cooling-off period or a transition period. But I think it's a shrewd, beautiful sum of money that was spent for Marcos Leonardo, and I think we're going to look back at this and see that it's an outright steal.
A steal is already Anatoly Trubin. For me, it's Diogo Costa, and second, Anatoly Trubin, the best goalkeeper in the Portuguese league. Maybe in terms of stats, Anatoly Trubin is ahead because Benfica is the less conceded defense in Primeira Liga. But it's an elite deal, 10 million. It was 10 million and a 40% future sale going to Shakhtar. So a good deal for Shakhtar too.
I mean, the biggest steal so far for me of this very, very early window, and it hasn't even really gotten over the line yet, believe it or not, comes from one of the richest clubs in all of Europe, or the whole world, I should say. It comes from PSG. If PSG, which has already gotten over the line and given some playing time to Lucas Beraldo, one of the top young center backs in the Brasileirão, if they get that over the line, which they did, I'm sorry.
They did.
If they get Gabriel Mascardo over the line.
Done too.
That, in turn, is that fully announced?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that yet.
Not announced by PSG, but it's a done deal.
well, just listen to this. Warren Zaire Emery, Gabriel Mascardo, Xavi Simons, knowing that he's already going to likely come back into a PSG jersey next season. Sprinkle a little Manuel Ugarte, a little Vitinha, and you very quickly got one of my favorite young midfields in the whole world right now.
It's a
whole
red
world.
statement.
Okay, not quite Real Madrid, in terms of quality just yet, but the actual I mean, let's just say they've got my attention, and they've got my attention for at least 5 years. And if they go out, Alex, and they get João Neves as well, then you've got maybe even a fan. Right?
No, Preston. They won't get João
I hope
Neves.
he doesn't go there.
No.
They've been sniffing.
Hey!
They've been sniffing.
The whole world is sniffing for João Neves after Fabrizio Romano announced that he's a quality player. And yeah, I agree with you with what you're saying about PSG, because Warren Zaïre-Emery is the favorite to win the Golden Boy next season. João Neves is fighting, and I'm sure he's going to have a hand in that. But in the Euros, I think it will be decided who's going to be bolder in the Euros. And Zaïre-Emery can have a hand too in the Champions League for PSG to beat the Real Sociedad and maybe going to a semi-final or to a final. Let's see if Mbappe and Zaïre-Emery get it done. But let us know down below, what have we missed with transfers? What transfers do you want us to react in the next videos? We want to know your thoughts down below in this podcast. And last theme, because we are FC Wonderkid, we gotta have a spotlight to the Wonderkids. And it's a new year, and it's a year that the Wonderkids can prove themselves once again. Like this video for more videos just like this, and put your prediction of the best Wonderkid that you believe will be in 2024. No, not the best, but the one that we should be highly aware of. Like a Valentino Barco that's now going to Brighton. Like a Marcos Leonardo that's now going to Benfica. Let us know down below who are your choices. So, Breton, are you going big-time players like Jude Bellingham, or are we going here with a get-to-know type player?
Yeah, we'll go with a recency theme right now, because two of the bigger stunners over the, there weren't many games outside of the Premier League, but Serie A did start back up relatively quickly. The Coppa Italia started up, and Juve and Inter are in a rat race at the top of the fight for the Scudetto, which is great to see. But also really great to see Allegri actually start to call upon some of his young ones. And one of those guys spent 10 plus years in the Bayern setup, never really given a chance there. But once he moved to Juve, Allegri doesn't, concede for many. He doesn't make room for many, especially in his setups, his tactical setups. But he has been trying to make room for 18-year-old Kenan Yildiz. And this Turkish player, if you've seen his 2 goals, he's got 2 goals in his last 3 games for Juve. A Scudetto contender, and they have been stunners. They have been, draw the attention out to the wing,
dribbling.
And then start to cut inside, a bunch of feints, a bunch of cutbacks, and boom, fires near post, I think, in both of them. And my goodness, they are beautiful. But Kenan Yildiz was doing this previous, and people have known who have been watching Bayern previous to this, and Juve now, they have seen him, especially the Turkish community, have known Yildiz for years, but you need to watch him. He is definitely going to be one to watch in 2024, because if he's already won Allegri over and he sees Yildiz as a backup for Chiesa, we're going to see a whole lot of him moving forward. But I just want to shed that spotlight on Kenan Yildiz. You have Arda Güler coming back up to speed, going to get his first time for Real Madrid. You've got Semih Kılıçsoy for Besiktas. You've got Emre Goke, who's another wonderful player. And I add that to Orkun Koksu, who's a little bit older. But once again, Turkey, you're starting to see these young wonder kids come through for Turkey. It's just whether or not it's going to lead to some Turkish national team success in 2024 and beyond. That's the big question we all have.
No success because they're in the same group as Portugal, Bretton. Come on.
I figured
Don't wish that. Don't wish that on me. Don't wish that on me, man. No, but I like how you're mentioning Turkey. I mentioned him in the podcast, João Neves. I wanted to give a special attention to him because João Neves was crucial for Benfica to win the title last season. João Neves was crucial for Benfica to go to the Europa League, having a touch in that last goal against Red Bull Salzburg. And João Neves is going to the Euros in 2024. He's already the best midfielder in the Portuguese league. He's got 46 games already in such a short period of time for Benfica, 32 league games, and 2 goals scored in his career, which the 2 goals were last minute goals against Sporting. Both. One led to a 1-1 draw that then led up to a 2-1 win, and the other one led to Benfica drawing 2-2 against Sporting last season. So he's had a hand, and he's a Benfica passionate fan. So that would be his best scenario, to score against Porto or against Sporting. And he was the man of the match against Porto in the league this season. So I gotta talk about him. him. And
it's everybody's talking about him now.
Look at Benfica in under 23 talents. João Neves, António Silva, Trubin, Marcos Leonardo now coming through. Prestiani that's been signed. Andrea Sheldrup coming back from loan at Nordsjælland. Like, Benfica are stacked in terms of talents. And I love Morato. I think Morato is very underrated, and he's had a very good impact in the defense of Benfica this season. So 2024 Wonderkid, you got to know it must be João Neves and António Silva giving a hint to him. Great player.
You go. Well, 2024 needs to be the year of him, as well as the year of Warren Zaire-Emery. But I'm going to go with just a little lesser known again. And I am going to go in my camp because we're going to be talking about Wonderkids all season. And that's why we do this weekly, because there's too many to talk about in one episode. And I think we've already gone on too long in this episode. But my last one, I got to get you ready for the MLS season coming up. I got to get you ready for Inter Miami, collecting all of his Avengers. Leo Messi is collecting all of his Avengers. But there's been one young kid, obviously, that has really stepped up his game under the tutelage of Tata Martino, obviously under the tutelage of his idol, Leo Messi. He's Argentinian born to a Argentine professional rugby player and an American mother. He just recently had his first cap for the U.S. men's national team and will get called up again. And at 18 or almost, I think he's 19 now or close to 19, he gets to actually learn from his idol. And I'm talking about no other than Benjamin Cremaschi, right? Cremaschi. And instant growth the minute he is thrown in to a midfield with Lionel Messi. Instant growth. And you got to think that his next year and a half, his growth, his development should be absolutely parabolic. It should be straight up, and it's an opportunity missed, not on his shoulders, but on Tata Martino's shoulders, if they can't actually, really speed up that development for him. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how he contends with the fact that his best role is played by his idol, which is Leo Messi. So he's not going to be playing that advanced playmaker role. And he's going to have to go up against one of Paraguay's top young stars in Diego Gomez for other times, whether it's as an 8 or as a, box-to-box, that type of situation. But I am there's so many fixtures for Inter Miami this season, between the League's Cup, between that rumored, and we don't even know if it's happening, friendly with Al Nassr. They're going to head to Japan, I think. Or Korea, one of them. They're going to head all over the place because it's Messi time. And Cremaschi needs to be ready because he's going to get 30 plus easily appearances for them. And he needs to be able to expand upon, I believe he had 8 goal involvements last season. But he has been integral for Tata Martino, and I'm so excited to see what happens because, I'm a little bit biased in the sense that I want to see him thrive for USA, and I want to see him kind of sneak on to that Copa America roster so we can see him play this coming summer. So we'll see, because the season starts late February.
It's interesting. I like Cremaschi's shout-out because, yes, he had a key role in this rejuvenated Inter Miami team with Lionel Messi. Having that League's Cup win. He was very important as a youngster.
Very important.
So very good to see. My last shout is a player that I believe every FC Wonderkid listener should know about him. Warren Zaire-Emery is very well known in midfield, but who's going to be well known in defense is Lenny Yoro. William Saliba, Ibrahim Konate, extremely talented, but Lenny Yoro at 18 is one of my favorite young center backs, under 20, to watch right now. He's played 4 times for the under 21 French national team. He's played 37 times for Lille, and I guarantee you, he is such an intelligent player for Lille this season with Paul Fonseca.
Yeah.
He's had a consistent and a very good defense because of Lenny Yoro, and it almost reminds me a bit of Varane Edlan when he was at Wonderkid at the time, and then he goes to Real Madrid with Jose Mourinho, and he learns to be a Galactico Varane. Lenny Yoro, I believe, is destined for these heights because he's got that potential. Ibrahim Konate, William Saliba, Lenny Yoro, I think will be the third player, center back, big center back, and maybe ahead of a Fofana, a Lukeba, other French players that are very good too. Yeah. But I just have a feeling with this player, Lenny Yoro. 16 Ligue 1 matches.
It's a crowded defense, but the fact that he is starting for, a top-tier team in Ligue 1, that's
the game against PSG, Breton. He was unreal. Great. And against Lyon, too, I managed to watch that game. But Lyon, okay. But shout out to Lyon that signed Luca Perry and Adrielson. A bit of a John Textor inside move, but...
Gotta get it done, though. Yeah, exactly. For the right price, Botafogo needs that money. And
$3 million
Lucas
each.
Perry, it's a wonderful, wonderful signing. And let's be honest, Lyon needs it. Lyon needs it. So we'll see. I think Perry, does he replace...
does Anthony
Lopez right away?
Yeah, I think he does. He's one of the best goalkeepers in Brasileirão, and I think he's better than him. And then Adrielson, I was pretty shocked. One of the best center backs in Brasileirão. But I prefer to mention Beraldo, like you said, that went to PSG. But let us know.
That multi-club channel is helping people out, isn't it?
For sure. But it saddens me that Beraldo doesn't go to a Portuguese team first, that we've seen in the past. A São Paulo center back with Éder Militão picking to go to Porto. That was with Sérgio Conceição at the time. Look how long Sérgio Conceição has been at Porto. Like, that's what I call the right management. He's a legend already for this team. But let us know, people. Who are the Wonderkids that we haven't mentioned in this segment at the end? What are the transfers that must need to happen? Who do you think will win AFCON? And yes, tell us, what are the predictions that Breton must put in his notes for the next podcast? Let us know down below in the comments section. And don't forget to like this video for more podcasts just like this. Thank you for listening to this week, and thank you for going bold with us another year, people.